I absolutely hate the way these dialogues in Scripture are written down. It's very confusing, even as the reader. So this is great, right? We have this very famous phrase that is oftentimes used in various ways that are accurate, and sometimes in ways that are not accurate. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Famously, this scripture passage is inscribed on the wall in Langley at the Central Intelligence Agency in their main foyer. Right? It's not ironic. It seems ironic, but it's not ironic. There are really kind of two senses in which we can understand this. Even one of the senses without regard so much to Christ himself, but simply the truth objectively, and this is how the CIA uses it, right? If you do not understand the landscape, you become a prisoner to the crags and to the pitfalls and to the mountains and to the valleys and all of the rivers and everything, right? Imagine being blind and in a very dense forest in Georgia with privet and kudzu and everything else. Somebody drops you into the center of it and says, "Be free." I mean, that's like a nightmare scenario, right? You're blind. You don't know the truth of what's around you, right? Simply understanding reality as reality is one way of understanding what Jesus is saying here about you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. You'll simply know things as they actually are. And having a true understanding of things around you enables you to live in a free manner. I know where the back wall is. I can walk to the back wall. I know where the door is, which means I can open the door and I can leave. There's a sense of freedom in that, of control, right? I know the world around me, which is why lies are so evil, right? We don't think about, particularly like women oftentimes, and this is a gross generalization, but go with me here, right? Like they condemn men for being overly violent, right? As if violence is the worst thing in the world. Violence is not in and of itself evil, right? Violence can be applied in just and noble ways, right? True, good heroic warfare, for example, is a virtue, right? It can be applied in evil ways, right? But the same people who condemn violence are the quickest ones to lie to somebody to spare them hurt feelings. And a lie dilutes reality. It causes somebody to live in their perspective of the world in a way that does not reflect the world. The map no longer reflects the terrain, right? And if you're familiar with Dante's Divine Comedy, in the first part of that poem, the Inferno, he puts liars way, way, way down lower in the pits of hell than he does those who execute violence. Why? Because a lie is a direct attack against the truth. And the truth is not only the substance of reality, it's the essence of what reality is made of, but it is also a reflection of the nature of God himself, right? In which we have a share of the truth. So Jesus says, know the truth, you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So just in the way that the CIA is using this, it's like we are an intelligence collecting agency. We want to know the truth so that we can see the landscape correctly and make good and proper judgments. Right? That's the idea there. And that's a true way of looking at this. But there's a deeper understanding of this, and it comes from Christ's own identification of himself. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Right? To know Christ is to know a deeper understanding of the fabric of reality, of why reality is what it is. Right? To know Christ is like to be able to perceive the first 2 chapters of the book of Genesis correctly, for example, right? It's one thing to know there's a solar system out there, and inside that solar system is inside a galaxy, and that galaxy is inside a network of galaxies, and that network of galaxies is inside of what is so vast we call it an infinitude of universe, right? And if Marvel Comics has anything to say about it, that universe is inside a multiverse of multidimensional time-traveling superheroes and all this nonsense, right? It's one thing to know that. That's physics. That's knowing science. That's knowing math. That's knowing reality. There's a truth to that. It reflects God. But to know Christ is to know the revelation of God himself, not just to know the artistic product of the master craftsman, but to know the master craftsman himself. To be able not only to see the product, but to know its interpretation and its reason. Why did you make it, Lord? Right? And so science tells us what happened, how it was made. It doesn't say a darn thing about the why. And as human beings, what is the one question that we are most interested in? The easier question is always what or how. The deeper question that human beings always struggle to seek is why. We're an introspective, rational creature. Animals ask what. Humans ask why. And to know Christ is to know the craftsman, to be able to speak to him and hear him respond to tell us why. Right? And so the answer to our ability to ask Christ the truth, why, is going to set us free. Why, Lord? Because I love you. My love will exceed the penalty of your sin. My love will exceed the death that was brought into the world because of your disobedience. My love will conceive in you a new life and a new way of being, a spiritual mindset, as St. Paul talks about. And you will come to the full stature, the full maturity of what it is to be a human. And in me, what it is to be a human is to become God. That's the freedom Christ is talking about. Of course, the Jews here are looking at this from that terrestrial, that first understanding of the word truth, right? The philosophical, not the theological. The terrestrial telos, not the eschatological end of time, right? They say, well, how can you say, and this, of course, this shows their delusion, right? To not understand truth properly is the definition of delusional, okay? We're not using the word in a pejorative sense here. We're using it in a technical sense, okay? So just understand that. If I say the Jews are delusional here, I'm not being mean to them. I'm simply saying they are misunderstanding the truth in a fundamental way. They are deluded, right? So they are deluded here when they say, wait a minute, we're sons of Abraham. We've never been slaves to anybody. 3 generations after Abraham, where did the Jews find themselves? Enslaved in Egypt for 400 years. After that, they found themselves in Babylon. Their cities were destroyed and they were enslaved in violent ways. We're father of Abraham. We've never been slaves to anybody. Oh, shut up, you guys. Come on. They're just being argumentative, trying to get one over on Jesus here, right? And because they keep talking past each other, right? They're looking at this from one perspective. Jesus is trying to get them to look at it from another, right? As Christians, we have to make sure that we're not understanding the world the way these Jews are trying to maintain a stranglehold, right? They're afraid of letting go. Their small understanding of their empire and their nation and their paternity and their freedom, their small understanding of that is like a safety blanket. If they don't have that, they feel like they've lost everything. But Christ is coming to remove that immaturity and give a more mature understanding. We have got to make sure as Christians that we are receiving Christ, the truth, not in that first sense of the word, that scientific sense of the word. I'm super wise according to the world. I know how economics work. I know how finance works. I know how science works. I know how military tactics work. I know how interpersonal relationships work. I know how HR works. Nobody knows how HR works. Right? I know how government works. Right? These are the wisdom of the world, and they're good. They're good to know that. Like we should encourage that. We should develop that for ourselves. But we should never consider that the foundation upon which we stand, but rather the horizon of eternity, that wisdom that Christ is trying to elevate the Jews and you and I to, which is understanding that phrase, know the truth and the truth will set you free, in that second way, by knowing not the artistic creation, but knowing and having a relationship with the Creator, the artist himself. Because the artist alone can give the interpretation of why he did what he did. And guys, the revelation of that interpretation, it sounds super simple, and we've done a lot to destroy our understanding of it, but it comes down to this: because I love you. If that's true, if the one who made all things, if the master craftsman, if the smith, if the potter, if the artist himself, who made all things and holds all things together in his mind, says he loves you, there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of. Because in the end, he will work, as he promised, he will work all things to our good, for the good of those who trust in him, who seek to know him as he wishes to be known.